The stage is set for the Canterra Seeds Cup final. Only 2 teams remain in contention. The Melfort Mustangs, who won the championship last year and look to defend their title and win back-to-back championships, and the Weyburn Red Wings, who have not been in the championship series since 2012. But none of that matters now, as Game 1 goes Saturday night in Melfort, and we will break it all down for you now. Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios. I'm your host, Clark Munroe, for SJHL Weekly here, presented by UPL, as we bring you the Canterra Seeds Cup final preview edition of the show. I'm your host. As I mentioned, we got Rory McGouran to my left. We got Jamie Neugebauer to my farther left. Obviously, free agent broadcaster Jamie Neugebauer, voice of the Humboldt Broncos. But more importantly, these two are going to be the broadcasters of the final on SJHL Max Local Live TV. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Always great to be back, especially breaking down the SJHL finals. And once again, humbled to be calling the finals with you, Jamie, on SJHL Max TV Live Local. Games 1 and 2, Saturday, Sunday in Melfort. Well, they will look to be the first team to go back-to-back since... well, the Melfort Mustangs did it in 15-16. So great finals, Melfort, Weyburn. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, great to have you both back. You were gone.
Yeah.
Happy that you're all back.
Smorgasbord.
I was speaking a little bit to Cody Mapes this morning, the head coach of the Weyburn Red Wings, and he said he had tons of media to do, interviews, and we'll have them both today, both him and Trevor Blevins on the show. But I think it's great news. It's great news for the league that all the media outlets in the province are getting behind our league and getting behind these finals and having that interest. We thank you if you're watching, and may it continue. It's great news that these coaches are being overworked in this way.
Yeah, shout out to Daryl Romold over on CTV. Shout out to, I know Scott Roblin was reaching out from Global Saskatoon. Shout out to the Sports Cage here.
Daryl Davis.
Daryl Davis, everybody. I probably missed a bunch of guys as well, but shout out to everybody. And again, like Nugsy said, thank you for the interest, and we hope it continues. We are going to, speaking of those coaches and general managers, like you said, Nugsy, Cody Mapes is going to be joining us in the second segment. He's the head coach and general manager of the Weyburn Red Wings. And Trevor Blevins, immediately after him, will be joining us, the head coach and general manager of the Melfort Mustangs. And then later on in the show, in segment 3, we'll have the president and CEO of Canterra Seeds itself, Brent Derkatch, joining me for a chat as well. So lots of special guests today, but we got to get into the breakdown. So let's thank first our sponsors, all of them. Of course, we'll start with Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Canterra Seeds, of course. So can't go too far in this show without saying them. Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, as you can see on the front of our desk here, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Those are our sponsors. Thanks to all of them. And we've introduced the co-hosts. Make sure if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, make sure you give us a comment throughout the show. We can show them on the screen, so make sure you let us know how you're feeling about the finals. If you have any questions or thoughts about the finals themselves, let us know. We have special guest Jacob Faith kind of inching his way into the studio here.
They can probably hear him.
You can probably hear him. He's doing his best, okay? But anyways.
He's got a special guest with him.
He's making a lot of noise.
He's got a special guest. So that special guest will be making an appearance shortly. But guys, before we get into the final itself, why don't we see how we got here? We'll just do a quick look at the bracket to see how did we get here and how did Weyburn and Melfort end up in the final. As we can see, Melfort beat Kindersley in a 4-1 series in the first round. Flin Flon got past Humboldt. I'm trying to see 3-2. That should say 4-2.
Yeah.
Weyburn got past Battlefords, and Yorkton got past Melville. Then, of course, those 4 teams met in the semifinal. Melfort took care of Yorkton. Weyburn, in a great series, beat the Flin Flon Bombers, and that means that we have Melfort and Weyburn in the final. Of course, Melfort's the number 1 seed in our league. Weyburn is the number 3 seed in our league, which means Melfort will have home ice advantage. But we've already talked about Melfort moving on a little bit. Let's see. I'm just going to give Bryce a second because I know he was just running in here and he's doing some NASCAR pit crew stuff.
I'm good, yeah.
Let's see how the Weyburn Red Wings defeated the Flin Flon Bombers to advance to the final.
Oxegren shoots from the point, save made, rebound loose, and it's cleared out of the danger zone. Red Wings hold the line. Martin trying to get some space. Fine, Oxegren, a shot. He scores! The Red Wings are heading to the Canterra Seeds Cup final. The overtime winner. A decade in the making.
What a moment. What a call from Dylan Fiesel and John Prett. Thank you guys for that. That energy was electric, and I can't wait to see that building in the final. It's going to be so much fun. Let's have a look, guys, at the head-to-head stats between these two teams. We can see their regular season head-to-head at the very top. Obviously, Melfort took 3 games out of 4 this season in the regular season. You can see their playoff records below that, and the numbers below that, guys, kind of speak for themselves. But Nugsy, I'll maybe let you start with this. Help me break this down a little bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, the stat that jumps out to me, fellas, and I don't know if you would agree with this, and it is also kind of one of my burning questions, is how can Weyburn be here with a power play that is 12.7%? And you know what,
Last
Cody,
in
we
the
talked to
playoffs.
Cody Mapes about this over the course of the playoff. That's last year, right? They were 6th in the regular season, so it wasn't like they were a top 4 team. But you think with all the guns they have, they should figure it out. And, I'll ask you, Rory, how important is it that Weyburn find a way to figure that out in this final series?
Yeah, I mean, you look at their penalty kill too, and it's 87%. So they just weren't, the power play wasn't clicking, but they weren't getting killed on their opposition's power play. Their penalty kill was keeping them afloat, whereas if they win more 5-on-5 action, as you see, goals for, goals against, +1 goal differential, that, they're able to get to the finals, even with the struggling power play. Melfort has just been so consistent throughout not only the playoffs, but the regular season. Their power play hasn't faltered at all. It's 25% in the regular season, 25% in the playoffs. Their PK in the regular season was number 1. Their PK in the playoffs is 86.3% or something like that. So Weyburn, I feel that, do they need to get it going? Yes, but what's most important is they need to match Melfort. If Melfort drops down a bit to 14%, then Weyburn's okay at 14%. Yeah. If Melfort's at 25, then yes, you're going to lose the series if Melfort's at 25 and you're at 12.
Yeah, and what we saw the Weyburn Red Wings come out in that series against Flin Flon, and it didn't matter that the power play wasn't clicking. It was a situation where they were just playing so well, 5-on-5. They were giving up nothing, as we saw on the penalty kill as well. So the Weyburn Red Wings found a way to win games at times this playoff so far to get to this point, and without that power play clicking just yet. And I'm sure, as I was just saying there, Cody Mapes has to believe that they'll find a way to contribute with that man advantage, given that they have, the leading point getter among defensemen in the league in Max Chakrabarty quarterbacking PP1 and the likes of Maharaj and DK. These are the guys that are going to put the puck in the net for most of the time for the Weyburn Red Wings. So, it's a situation where they got to figure that out, because 5-on-5, it might be a challenge for this Weyburn team to generate offense.
Yeah, I don't think Weyburn's really that concerned overall if there is an aspect that needs to be picked up or one that they're really performing. They want to hold on to that, because they enter the first round and you looked at all 4 opening round series. You'd probably say the one that was closest to a 50-50 split in terms of being an upset was the Battleford's North Stars over Weyburn Red Wings. So they had some doubters, some naysayers in that, including myself. I picked Battleford's. So they go out and they beat Battleford's North Stars. Then Flin Flon, probably not a lot of people thinking that Weyburn's going to get an upset, let alone in 6 games, let alone taking the first 2 in Flin Flon to go up 2-0. Well, they go through the Flin Flon Bombers and eliminate them, making their long drought for a championship just one more, at least, year longer. So now they're going up against the Melfort Mustangs. Yes, it is the most talented team in the SJHL. They have been since drop of the puck in September. But I don't feel any of it's deterring the Weyburn Red Wings, because they've had a grind, and not only in the playoffs, but they've had this naysayer kind of mentality surrounding them, and they just lock in, blinders on, and they've gotten the job done. So,
but I think the reason why there's some naysaying is because we don't always know which Weyburn Red Wings team is going to show up, and I think it's less about whether people don't believe that the Weyburn Red Wings are as good as the Melfort Mustangs, whether people don't believe they don't have the pieces, the players to really make this a hard series. I think it's more like it's which Weyburn Red Wings team is going to show up. I think that's the bottom line here.
Right. And so let's have a look at the top scorers for each team so far in the playoffs, because I think that paints a little bit of a picture here too. As you can see, Riley Kotai and Zach Summers have been so good. Will Munroe has had a really great playoff run as well. You see the Ashtons there. I'm going to call them the Ashtons with 8 points each. And Zayden Saddlemeyer has been such a great playmaker as well. You see Christian Coombs and Madden Malacca have both played some games this playoff so far. Obviously, Christian Coombs getting the bulk of it, but their numbers have been stellar. And then on the other side, in terms of, let's start with the goaltender, Angelo Zoll. I mean, he's going to be such an X factor in this series. He has technically better numbers than both of Melfort's goalies in terms of save percentage, at least. His goals against has been solid. Obviously, one rough game where he got roughed up a little bit is going to affect that largely because of his sample sizes being smaller. And then, like you said, guys, Maharaj, DK, Ruthven have been so important. But has there been, I'm going to come back to the studio now with this question, guys. Has there been a more clutch Weyburn Red Wing than Liam Fitzgerald so far this playoff? He's scored some huge goals for Weyburn.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has. I think it's a situation, too, where it's, the teams that they've played against, be it, Jordan Grill and whoever he was with in Battlefords, or be it, Cole Tanchuk and Liam Hunks for Flin Flon, their job was to try to shut down that Maharaj Ruthven line. Yeah. And they did a decent job of making life very hard on those guys. Somebody else needs to usually step up. And certainly, Weyburn is a much deeper team, especially up front, than we all tend to give them credit for, especially when they're healthy. And so certainly the Fitzgerald has been good, but I think we've seen heroes all over the lineup for Weyburn this
That's why you go get a Josh Sale in the trade deadline, right? He scores the goal that gets them into the SJHL championships. And we talked about it when the trade was happening. It's a nice, sneaky ad that's going to pay dividends the more he plays, because it just balances out a forward group and makes them deeper. And there it is. A guy maybe, locking in overtime on that top line, gets to the front of the net, uses that big body, tips in a goal. They're going to the finals.
And I should say, the guy that Josh Sale was traded for, Dazza Mitchell, will be on our broadcast in the finals.
And so he's watching right now, actually. He's in the comment section as well. He's saying, he was commenting on the goal, the highlight of the goal, and said, "Have a good show, gentlemen. Weyburn was electric that night." So Dazza is tuning in. Dazza, great job, by the way, filling in on this desk last week, or whenever that was, a week and a half ago.
Couple shows.
Exactly. So fantastic, bright future. We all know this.
Bright present.
Bright present, exactly. There you go. Make sure if you are watching on Facebook, please hit the like button, hit the share button. That helps us out a lot every week. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, but also comment in and let us know what you want to talk about throughout the show. Some burning questions, Nugsy, I think, are present for this series. But what do you think is the biggest one in terms of where should we start in terms of the burning questions for this series?
Well, we kind of started our conversation, and I think fair enough, about the Weyburn Red Wings, but let's give the Melfort Mustangs their credit first and foremost.
Sure.
So deep, 12 guys back from their Centennial Cup run. So the question then is, and again, we kind of flip it back to Weyburn to some degree, but we got to include both in every conversation, is Melfort has so much depth up front. The bottom six, the Danton Coxes and the Caleb Binners, they were unbelievable in the series against Yorkton. They were superstars to me when I went there to Yorkton in Game 4. They did such a tremendous job in all the detail ways of the game. They can score too. Does Weyburn's depth on D have enough to handle the waves that Melfort come at you up front?
That's going to be a big, big question, because I think if you head-to-head look at it and you look at the on paper, I think Melfort's defensive group is so strong. We've been talking about it all year long, how deep and strong that defensive group is. So Rory, maybe I'll leave this one to you, but I think overall, I wouldn't pick another group of defensemen to go up against any team in the league outside of Melfort's. I think there'd be the number one group that I would pick, and that's got to be a huge advantage and strength going into this series against a very fast and skilled Weyburn group up front.
Yeah, Melfort's deeper anywhere on the lineup. And I think up front on the blue line, the defending champions, they're deeper in experience. They're deeper just knowing how to win a championship. I feel that Weyburn, your question was, is their defense deep enough to handle Melfort's forward group? Well, Weyburn's best asset in the way they play is their team speed, right? So if those defensemen and supporting forwards coming back can help alleviate pressure quicker than they ever have before, then the depth of Melfort's forwards becomes less of a factor because they're always having to go chase the puck down in their zone. If they're hemming down your defenseman and pinning you in the defensive zone, and Zoll's on his heels, and your guys are going into the corners and they're taking bumps, then Melfort's too deep and it eventually will wear down. But if Weyburn can support and use team speed to quickly get the puck out of the zone, they're very, very talented puck-moving defensemen. defensemen. They're very talented forwards that can skate or pass the puck. Their team speed is their best asset. They're going to have to use it, or else the depth will show its head too much for Melfort.
And to continue with that, to piggyback on that point, and I think you look at this series tactically, and when you have two really, really good teams, I always look at which team is brave to stick within their system. And the Weyburn Red Wings, they love to play through the middle. They love to use that speed. Where's the best place to use that speed? In the middle of the ice. Wide open spaces, harder to cover, harder to stay in your lines and back check. Can the Weyburn Red Wings be brave and make plays and deal with the forecheck of the Melfort Mustangs? They can forecheck better than any team in the league. Maybe all of the SJHL, the Melfort Mustangs. Like, obviously, I haven't watched every team, but they can forecheck as well as any team in the SJHL. So can the Weyburn Red Wings D be brave, play through the middle, and do what the Weyburn Red Wings do and create chances that way, and find that way to have speed through the neutral zone and create chances that way? We'll find out, and that'll be a big determining factor on how the series goes.
Yeah, I guess I sort of deflected the question and threw it the other way, but that's fine when I answered it. But at the same time, you know, like, I think I've been really pleasantly surprised with some of the Weyburn Red Wings defensive players so far throughout the playoffs, and getting Simon Martin back is obviously a big one. He's only played 3 games so far, but he's got 3 points, and Josh Carman's been so good this playoffs so far. Dallin Oxelgren's showing his worth, and I think it's a good group, but like you said, it's going to be a tall task.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, there's a lot of good forwards on Flin Flon, and and they frustrated the you know what out of them.
I don't know what are you trying to say?
Well, you know what I'm saying. But the thing is, the Weyburn Red Wings, are much younger on the back end than Melfort.
Yep.
So we can sit here and, we can say this and that. This guy's better, that guy's better, this group is better, that guy's group is better. We just know what we're getting with the Melfort Mustangs.
Right.
We know how good they are in all 3 facets. We don't 100% know about this Weyburn D-core, whether they'll be able to handle that. We'll find out.
It's easier to doubt them.
Right.
We know what they are when they're good.
Yeah.
We know what they are.
Right.
It's easier to think that they may not show up to be that way.
Right.
When the Melfort Mustangs, you are just pretty much guaranteed they're going to show up to be that way.
Yeah.
So
pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
They're still junior hockey players, but as much of a guarantee,
pretty
much as I've seen in my time in the league, this Melfort D-core will show up.
What's the next burning question for us?
Well,
Lindsay?
and again, these are all ones where we'll have to find out and see. But I mean, you give me the team that had the better goalie performance, and usually you have the winner. So whether Angelo Zoll of Weyburn or Christian Coombs of Melfort will come out with looking better in this final. And I'm going to go as far as saying and I'm sure you guys would agree with this, that if Weyburn has a shot, Angelo Zoll probably has to be Weyburn's best player. I'm pretty comfortable saying that. Now, the question mark around Christian Coombs, I don't really know. He's got such a great D. And you mentioned that Malacca played a few games. That was at the very beginning.
It was in the first round.
It's been 7 in a row because I think Christian was dealing with a little bit of an injury. But it seems like he's fine. It seemed like he was very solid at the very least. He wasn't shaky. He didn't look nervous against Yorkton. And the Melfort Mustangs played such good team defense in front of him. So I don't know. Zoll or
what is
Coombs?
The question?
Zoll or Coombs?
I'm just like, I don't know what the question is anymore.
Simple. Zoll or Coombs?
Well, the best part about it is it's 2 great options.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, whichever team goes to the Centennial Cup from this, which we'll talk about later, the goaltending representation is going to be fantastic. So obviously their save percentages are almost identical. Obviously Zoll has 5 more games in the playoffs. So will that battle tested, he's in the zone more maybe? I don't know, hard to say. We saw it last year, right guys? We saw it where Flin Flon swept in the second round. Harman Laser-Hume didn't come out as sharp maybe as we thought he might in the finals against Melfort last year. Will that reverse itself this year with Christian Coombs having over a week off now ish, and Angelo Zoll coming off a great series, with adversity against the Flin Flon Bombers? We'll have to see. And I think in terms of the question, Coombs or Zoll, I'm just glad we got this. This is a great duel. It's going to be a great duel.
They're both at the showcase. By the way,
should have been goaltender of the year nominees, both of them.
Zoll,
one of them was.
But you think about the SJMJ showcase, whether that's a reflection of the best players in our league. Melfort had 9, Weyburn had 5, so 14 of them were. So I think that's pretty good. A pretty good number. 9 is a big number, obviously, for Melfort, and well deserved. But it should be a very good goaltending matchup either way.
Well, it's a good point that you said about Laser-Hume last year, because It was James Venn coming out of the more difficult series
Right.
against the Humboldt Broncos, and Laser Hume, who had time off, right? It's kind of that shoe is on the other foot for Melfort now.
It's reversed,
It is their goaltender who has, won 7 games in his 7 starts against the kid, or maybe he was in for the overtime loss, 6-0, 0-1, or 7-0. And then Angelo Zoll, who has been, the more, I don't want to say tested, but in the more higher heartbeat games, right? Coming into the SJHL finals. The only knock I really have on the Melfort Mustangs is not because Christian Coombs isn't an amazing goaltender, which he is, but is there any hesitation in the back of his mind because of the former injuries? Is there anything there where Zoll is coming in really confident in his body, Coombs is coming in confident in the players in front of him finals experience? Zoll doesn't have the players in front of him final experience, but he doesn't have the injury past. Coombs has the players in front of him, but is there anything in him that he just isn't sure to push off this, you know what I mean?
Any shakiness.
Anything in his...
We won't find out until we find out.
But that's something that if you notice it in game 1 and game 2, now it becomes a topic of concern.
But of course, I don't think there's any hesitation on Trevor Blevins' mind to put in a kid who's a blue chip kind of prospect still, and he showed he's as good as anybody in the league in Madden Malacca.
Right.
Behind
that's a great place to be.
Or Coombs, rather.
Great place to be.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Next, how many more burning questions we got?
We've kind of touched on most of them, but the last one, I guess, and Rory kind of mentioned it a little bit, but Melfort has vast experience, Centennial Cup. Their checkers are experienced. Their scorers are experienced. Everybody's experienced. How much does that matter? Does it matter?
It's huge. And this is a question I want to ask Trevor Blevins, because if you look back a couple of years, it's a really cool comparison. Battleford's 2 years ago, runs through the first divisions. They play Flin Flon in the finals. Battleford's end up sweeping that series. So Flin Flon has the experience in that next year looking at Battleford's doing so well, right? And then they couldn't get it done. Flin Flon the next year was the team that was rolling through the playoffs, ends up playing Melfort, but Flin Flon didn't have the experience of being Melfort. Right. So Melfort ends up beating Flin Flon last year, the team that was rolling through the finals. Melfort now has the experience from last year of being that underdog team. Now they're the team that rolled through the finals, and Weyburn is kind of the Melfort of last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Melfort has that experience of knowing what they did to Flin Flon last year.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest X factor for Melfort is knowing how they beat Flin Flon. And also that Weyburn is trying to do the same thing to them. It is the same thing going up into this finals.
And they'll know that they have to start on time. Like Flin Flon didn't in the finals last year. And that kind of jumps into like the other question of, how much is this Weyburn team an underdog? How much is Melfort's experience important? How much is Weyburn an underdog? They're kind of two sides of the same coin. And I think the Weyburn Red Wings have never once all year thought of themselves as an underdog. That's not their mentality. And
but they are.
Well, they are. But the one thing going for them too is, many things going for them. But one of the things going for them is they've been better on the road. They've been better in adverse situations in this playoffs. And Angelo Zoll's been much better. Well, I mean, this is going to sound obvious, but he's been exponentially better in Weyburn wins than Weyburn losses. The save percentage is just a massive difference.
Yeah.
So they found ways to win when their game model isn't even working. Isn't really the way the game is going, and I think that's so huge for the confidence level that Cody Mapes can maybe have going into to this finals.
Perfect. Well, we have a lot more to get into, so we're not done yet. But let's have a look at the schedule for the first 4 games here. As we see, it all starts on Saturday night, again in Melfort, I should say. It should be a great game, obviously kicking off the series there, and then Sunday's game 2. So it should be a ton of fun. And then it flip-flops back to Crescent Point Place in Weyburn on Wednesday and Thursday. So it's an exciting time. Make sure you get your tickets early, guys. Please do not wait.
And also remember, game 2 is in Melfort, not in Weyburn.
And
said there.
Game 1 and 2 are both in Melfort. I'll just put that out there for that graphic. Let's have a look at all 7 games now, the entire series. As you can see, this one shows the picture nicely. As you can see, Saturday and Sunday, Wednesday and Thursday, and then back to Melfort in a potential game 5 on the Sunday, April 27th. Game 6 will not take place until Wednesday, April 30th. It feels like a huge gap in there, but that's okay. And then another Saturday game, May 3rd, for Game 7 if needed. So it'll all be done regardless, at least by May 3rd. And we'll know the Centennial Cup representative from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, the Canterra Seeds Cup champion. Let's have a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by head coach and general manager of the Weyburn Red Wings, Cody Mapes. We'll get his perspective on all of this. Immediately following that, we'll be joined by Trevor Blevins of the Melfort Mustangs to get his perspective. And then we're going to take another break and be joined by President and CEO of Canterra Seeds, Brent Derkatch, later on in the show. So a lot to get to still, guys. Let's have a break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That's the population of Martinsville. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
In a year where Amazon sold its first book, Alanis topped the charts, and the Frappuccino became cool, we were there. Trusted by the Saskatchewan construction industry since 1995. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel Student Deals.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly. Of course, it is the Canterra Seeds Cup final preview show. Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. We broke down the series from our perspectives earlier on in the show before the break. But let's now talk to the coaches and get their perspectives. And we're going to start with the Weyburn Red Wings and Cody Mapes. Let's bring him in now on the video chat line. Cody, welcome to the show. Last time I spoke to you, you were on the road back, I believe, from Battlefords, if I'm not mistaken. That was a great series. Obviously, you just came out of a great series against the Flin Flon Bombers. And now you're in the finals for the first time since 2012 as the Weyburn Red Wings make their way. Can you talk to us about just how you got here, Cody? Tell us about the journey so far.
Yeah, you know what? We talked early in the playoffs about, just trying to get better every day. And I think our guys have done a good job with that mentality, not letting things be bigger than they are. It's one game at a time. Like I said, we want to get better every day, but we know that, one speed bump or some adversity doesn't dictate an entire series. And so I think our guys have done a good job with that.
Cody, what have you learned about your team these playoffs that maybe you didn't know at the very beginning?
Well, you know what? We always thought we had a little more grit than we maybe showed in the regular season. There was times where I maybe wanted to pull my hair out in February, but at the end of the day, I think we always believed in this back end, and they've really shown up here over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Being able to learn on the fly, make adjustments, being able to buy in and block shots and be physical when they need to be, but move pucks when they need to be. I've been really, really happy with that over the course of the 2 series here. And you know what, just like our consistency with our depth up front has been great. You look at the depth that we've scored with. You know what? We get obviously Checker Barty in Game 6, but Schmid in Game 6, Josh Sale in Game 6, and plays set up by guys like Dallin Oxlgren and Simon Martin, and so it's not just the big boys contributing; it's everybody down the whole depth of the roster.
Do you feel that you are the underdog going into the finals? Is that a word you would even use in terms of motivating your guys that, hey, everyone thinks we're the underdog? Would you even use it? Do you even feel that way going up against Melfort?
What's Melfort's record in the last 16 months?
Pretty good.
100.
You know what? They've earned a very good right to be the number 1 seed. You know what? They've been unbelievable the last 18 months. And, if anybody, we believe in our room. We believe in what we do, the way we want to play, and that we can get better every single day. And if we continue to do that, this will be a series. If we decide right now that Melfort is going to be the champions, then that's what they're going to be. So we're just going to continue to stay within ourselves and play within ourselves and stick to what has given us success to this point. And we'll continue to grow as a group and learn as a group here together.
So, this is the time of year where nobody's ever 100% healthy, Cody, but how confident are you in the health of the team going into the finals right now?
You know what, Clark? I feel really good right now. I had a little cold here a couple weeks ago, but I'm starting to feel pretty good.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you for that answer.
Professional.
That's what I meant. I meant, how are you feeling?
How are you
That's
feeling?
what I meant.
That's great to hear. You didn't go too hard after celebrating there. Good for you. We do have to ask you a harder question once in a while, Cody. So
I thought that last one was pretty hard, and he handled it really well.
We're working on it here, but I know we asked this question I think earlier in the playoffs. The power play is 8th in the playoffs, among 8 teams in the SJHL. Surely it has to be better than 12% in the finals for you guys to also make it a series, right?
Yeah, that would probably be an accurate statement, Nugsy.
But so tell me how that happens.
Traffic, getting pucks to the net. You know what? Melfort's got an unbelievable penalty kill. They're going to do. They love their pressure. They're going to put the gears to us, and we're going to have to make sure that we're ready for it. But simply put, at this point, as you saw in Game 6, we scored a power play goal, and it was just all about traffic and getting pucks through. Even the overtime winner, obviously a 5-on-5 one, but good traffic. Good puck movement and just getting pucks through. That's going to be important for us. And I don't expect there to be a lot of power plays and penalty kills in this series. I expect it to be 5-on-5. I expect it to be well refed and the teams will be disciplined. Everybody knows what's on the line. I don't expect it to get too wild in that sense.
And 5-on-5, the Melfort Mustangs are a very deep team, both up front and on the blue line. Before we went to you, we talked about, how Weyburn might be able to at least cancel out some of that depth? Is that something you look at? Just what do you have to do to stop their wave after wave of attack, which will eventually, over the course of a long series, wear you down?
Yeah, you know what? We just have to make sure we manage our minutes well. We've done it all year until Game 6. I don't think we had a forward play over 23 minutes this year. We really haven't had a D-man play over 24. So, I mean, when you talk about the health and longevity, I mean, I think our group is in a good position to be able to roll lines. We love the lineup that we can put on the ice. We've had, kind of next man up mentality when we've had to. But at the end of the day, we love the 4 lines that we can put on the ice. We love our 6 defensemen, and we love our goaltending. And so, we're just going to continue to play the way we play. If we try to play the way that somebody else plays, it's not going to give us success. So we're just going to continue to do our thing.
Now, you mentioned the goaltending there, and I think I don't know if you remember or if you were on vacation or what last year, Cody, before the finals, but we all knew kind of that James Venn was very good, but then he went into the finals and was like unbelievable for Melfort and then throughout the Centennial Cup. Obviously, I'm sure you're hoping for kind of the same thing from Angelo Zoll, but what is it about him, even from last year that, you locked in and said, man, this kid is going to take us a long way?
You know what, his mentality, his work ethic is just, he's built different that way. He wants to play every single night. He wants to practice every day. I have to basically steal his skates to get him to stay off the ice. He's here an hour before everybody. He's here an hour after everybody. And that's not just me saying that because you asked, like that. Those are the reasons why, we had so much confidence in him, and we continue to have that confidence in him. Like when he gets pulled in Game 5, I knew 8 minutes into Game 5 against Flin Flon that he was going to be unbelievable in Game 6. So I think he's just kind of built that way.
Cody, a quick one. It's basically going to be the same questions for your opposing coach coming up in Rapid Fire Edition. It'll be quick. Are you ready? Obviously, Rory's Rapid Fire presented by Elkridge. You had a 3-0 series lead in the semifinals against Flin Flon. Flin Flon takes Game 4. They take Game 5, Game 6 into overtime. I don't want to ask you like a scale of 1 to 10, but when Josh Sale's goal goes in, just what are you feeling knowing that you don't go back up for Game 7?
Kind of blacked out a little bit. I pretty sure I could have kissed Willie or Casey there. I was so happy we weren't going back to but it was. Do I got to put a number on it?
No.
11. Could you hear John Pratt from the bench yelling on the broadcast?
No, but I heard it was pretty loud.
I just want you to give a shout out to maybe an unsung hero on the Weyburn Red Wings that hasn't gotten the credit in the playoffs that he probably deserves. Just one guy.
Oh,
I know it's tough.
Just one? Can I go 2?
Sure, 2. Yeah.
Okay, Drew Moldy up front. Our penalty kill's been good, and he gets every first rep on that penalty kill. And Josh Carman. If you were watching Game 6, I had somebody text me after the game and said they think that Josh blocked 16 shots in Game 6. And so those two guys, and I think there was about 6 in one shift right before they scored the tying goal. So it would be those two guys who are a little unsung for us right now.
Final one. The best game so far by the Weyburn Red Wings in the playoffs where you don't really had a lot of criticism towards, and it's the game that you need to emulate in order to be your best self against the Melfort Mustangs.
Oh, probably Game 2 in Flin Flon.
Okay, perfect.
I thought we were really good from. That's probably the most complete game we've played all year.
Love it.
Perfect. Well, there you go. Rapid fire. Thank you, Rory.
Concise,
Cody,
quick.
There it is. We're out of time, Cody, but thanks so much for joining us today. Obviously, it's an exciting time, and we're expecting a great series, and we wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Thanks, guys.
And take care of that cold for me, if you don't mind, too. Make sure you're healthy.
You know what? I met I met his wife, Brittany, in the lobby. Very nice lady. But a lot of times, she said, I love what you guys do. A lot of times when you guys, especially me probably, when she was saying, you guys say something, I'm just yelling at the screen. You don't know what you're talking about. And, fair enough.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to argue with anybody's wife.
Never. But we do have our second guest in now. So let's go right back out on the video chat now as we're joined by head coach and general manager of the Melfort Mustangs, Trevor Blevins. Trevor, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks, Clark. It's so nice to have you back. Jacob did a great job, but he's no Clark Munroe.
Thank you so much for that. And the best part about that is he's right beside me, but he didn't hear you say that because he didn't have headphones on. So I'm gonna let that go. He's smiling over there now. He doesn't know what's going on.
He'll listen to the podcast later.
He'll know what you said later.
He's gonna get me back probably Saturday.
He'll get you back. But Trevor, welcome to the show. Obviously, you're no stranger to Canterra Seed Cup finals as you were here last year. So I guess my first question is just what's the difference in your feeling going into this year compared to last year's final?
That's a great question. I don't recall what the feeling would have been last year other than just make sure we got up for game one up at the Flin Flon. I think it took us 10 hours on the bus on a day like today. So it was a bit dicey to get there in time and to be ready to go. But, I think process doesn't change much here for us. It's more just getting ready game by game for who your opponent is. And, I don't feel that we change things here and our preparation and what we focus on. So sorry to be vague on that.
No,
one.
that's great. No,
yeah. I guess my question is a little bit similar, but you beat Yorkton last Wednesday. In that series, I think those games in Yorkton could have gone either way, and were really good hockey games. But I guess just talk about how you've structured, your week since then, and how you feel kind of the vibe has been around practice.
Yeah, we took a couple days off for some rest, and then had a couple hard practices Sunday, Monday, really, and then Tuesday broke it up with a skills day and some 3-on-3 just to break up the week, and really then this past couple days we're really focused on 5-on-5, being game ready, lots of live stuff in different areas of the rink, and I feel our compete level needs to be high too going into game one. Just so there is an opportunity for rust, but the other point of that is I think we can control that, just how we practice and make sure we execute hard in games.
You say you don't change much in the preparation, but you certainly learn new things, game in, game out, and year out. How big of an X factor is what you guys did to Flin Flon last year? Because it's eerily similar, these two teams going into the finals this year. Flin Flon 8-0, you guys an overtime winner in game 7 to get to the finals. They were on a break, you guys really weren't. And now it's you guys 8-0-1, Weyburn an overtime winner to get to the finals. You guys on a break, them not so much. They're kind of you from last year. So how can you end up not being the Flin Flon Bombers from last year and just have that in your knowledge and things that you've learned? How big is that kind of aspect of preaching and knowing what to do to not, be what happened last year?
It's a great one, Rory. And, I've thought lots about that and what, getting off of game 7 last year on a Tuesday night, I believe, and getting there on a Thursday, playing Friday, and really we were game ready. Mm-hmm. So, that's been our focus. I hate to be repetitive, but to me, I believe we've taken a lot of time here in the last 2 days, and into tomorrow we will for sure. Also, just making sure it's game situations and practice, and just wrap it up with the intensity and the urgency. And I know you can never really fully get there in a practice, but you got to get close. And I think our guys have bought into that this week. They've done a great job, and we've competed hard. And I think how we won that first game was just the fact that we were harder, heavier. Our feet were moving. When I think back to that game last year in Flin Flon game 1, we just jumped them, really. Mm-hmm. It was surprised them. And we can't be on the other side of that. And we're doing everything we can here to make sure that doesn't happen.
No, for sure. And you mentioned they're trying to simulate game situations in practice to try to make that happen. And I don't need to tell you, and I'm sure you've been watching your film there on the Weyburn Red Wings, but their team speed is elite level, in our league. I guess just talk about trying to emulate that and get that ready and find a way to kind of slow the Red Wings down.
Well, a big key is going to be how we defend. There's no secret. We got to defend in all three zones, whether it's a forecheck, neutral zone, or in our zone. It's more or less pretty much like you said. We just got to get in their way, slow them down. They've got some guys that can really take advantage of you off the rush if you got slow feet or slow gaps and lack of effort on the back check. So, for us, again, just defending the rush, making sure our own forecheck and our own neutral zone is taken care of. And, they do have a lot of speed. They're creative off the rush for sure. It's not just one dimensional. There's sometimes four, sometimes a delay, and sometimes two or three guys go in the net. We got to make sure we take care of business, like I said, defensively.
I don't really know how to frame this question so I can get, an answer maybe that isn't, we want to work on everything. Because, throughout this playoffs, you guys have been so complete, it seems like. And I know you guys are wanting to get a good start in game one, but when you're 8-0-1, when you're practicing for a week, is there something that you've noticed in the playoffs that is specific that you want to have making sure of is concrete before going in? Just because I haven't seen a blemish, and I know you want to get better at everything, but is there something specific that you as the coach for the long time knows, hey, we could get a little better here?
We've spent a lot of time on the power play. I think we had our looks, we had our chances, but as far as making sure their quality looks and finishing them off, to be honest, I think last series our power play did get results, but in Kindersley against Kindersley, we had a lot of looks that we just didn't make good choices, I guess you could say at times, and we're just sharpening up our decision making sure we can handle the pressure that Weyburn's going to give us, and just capitalize on that situation if it happens a little more.
Yeah, for sure. And, I talked about it a lot, watching that Yorkton series. I was so impressed with your depth guys, your bottom six guys. I think you look at, young players, and the thing that makes them have potential as opposed to being where they are is being consistent, knowing that when you or Ty Sugar throw a kid out, what you're going to get. And the likes of Danton Cox and Caleb Binner, and, the list goes on, the steps that they've taken, this year to be the pieces that they are, just so impressive to me. I guess, what does that say about your team's culture, how they've created it, and how, what have you seen in those kind of younger guys on the bottom part of your forward core that make this team so special?
Yeah, I know it's cliche when you talk about everyone's going to buy into their roles, and that's the way to be successful, and that's true for our guys. It's been a fantastic year that way. Everybody wants to be on the power play. They want the glory situation, absolutely, but there's probably a line that's the most valuable line in the league for us is Austin Shepard, Nolan Patterson, Caleb Binner. Those guys are so tough to play against. They're 200 feet, and not only can they defend, but they can score too. And they've chipped in a lot of offense. And you can go down the line like got Ziola and Aikens, and like you said, Danton Cox and Will Munroe. They've all just bought into being those kind of players. And I wouldn't say bottom six. I've never ever said top six in my hockey club or bottom six anywhere. We've got four lines that can go, and some guys play on the penalty kill and some guys don't, and some are on the power play and some aren't. So it's just the way our culture is. We have a great leadership group, a great dressing room because of that, and everyone buys into being successful in what they do.
All right, guys, hit the bumper one more time. We're going back into it. Elkridge, Rory's rapid fire. Wait, Clark, did you want to ask Trevor how his health is before?
Okay, I can handle this really quick. Trevor, it's a tough time of year. Obviously, nobody's ever fully healthy at this time of year. Can you give us an update on the health of the roster going into the finals?
Or him personally? Yeah.
I got a little bit of sniffles. I went out and started the car the other day, and I came back in without a jacket, and I ended up coming down with the cold a little bit.
You got to be careful.
I'm getting a lot of success with Allegra, with my allergies. So I would suggest Allegra.
There you go.
I'm perfectly fine. It's good that Cody's a little bit under the weather, and maybe he'll be a little quieter.
Love it.
Perfect. Thank you, Trevor.
Trevor, you're a guy that's been to the finals many, many times. I just want to know, puck drop game 1 after O Canada or during O Canada, teams come to center ice. Stress level on a 1 to 10 scale, excitement level on a 1 to 10 scale.
Oh, excitement at a 10 for sure. I'm not a big on nerves. I feel if we're prepared, you put the work in, you don't need to be nervous. To me, that should bring confidence. So our guys will be ready to go. They've done all the work they can, and we'll have video done with Weyburn all cased out. Just make sure we focus in on how we need to play, and 100%. Excitement.
Couple of the same questions for you. A shout out to an unsung hero so far in the playoffs. Cody, pick 2 if you want to as well.
2 would be good. I've talked about wild cards, Ashton Paul and Will Munroe. Been fantastic, kind of late additions to our roster. Really have done a great job buying into how we need to play. They've done an excellent job transforming their game into what it takes to be successful.
And they're cousins.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Oh, I did not know that.
There you go.
Fact.
And one of them's not related to me. Another kid on the team's related to me. It's same last name, but it's different spelling.
Great.
Binner's related to you, right?
Yeah, Caleb, yeah.
Final one. Best game of the playoffs for the Melfort Mustangs that you didn't have a lot of criticism and you just got to emulate it to be successful in the finals.
I'd say game 1 against Yorkton here.
Beautiful.
Love it.
There it is.
We were real good.
There you go. Well, Trevor, thanks so much. I know you have another interview to get to, so I'm going to let you go here, but thanks so much for joining us, and of course, best of luck the rest of the way here.
All right, thanks, guys, for having us on. Thank you.
Thank you.
There it is. Of course, so now we've heard from both coaches. We've broken down on our perspective. Let's hear from the title sponsor of the Cup. After
when
the
did that
break.
get here?
This has been here the whole time.
Hey, and if you go back and it's not there, it's something wrong with your computer, or your phone.
It's a video feed.
The pixels of your computer.
You better get that fixed, folks.
It's been here the whole time. The Canterra Seeds Cup, and we'll be talking to the president and CEO, Brent Derkatch, right after the break. Stay tuned.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for a combined 324 season games. We take hockey players, and we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business.
With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside for the Canterra Seeds Cup final preview show. As you can see, the trophies beside me. So why don't we bring in the man himself, Brent Derkatch from Canterra Seeds, the president and CEO. Brent, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, great to be here.
Your background looks great, by the way. I just want to point that out, Brent. Background looks great.
Thanks, Clark. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
There's an inside joke there. We don't need to get into it.
Inside joke.
Yeah, Brent, obviously it's the most exciting time of the year when it comes to this league and everything that goes around being in the finals at this time of year. But from your perspective, just in terms of the partnership and everything with Canterra Seeds, how exciting is this for you guys?
Oh, it's absolutely spectacular. This is the third year of our partnership, and we couldn't be happier. There's so many similarities between our two organizations. That connection to local communities and having the impact that we can collectively have in those SJHL towns. We know how important the field of agriculture is, as well as the hockey community in those areas, and so it's just a great privilege for us to be a part of it.
Well, speaking of that excitement in the communities, I know we'll start here with the Canterra Seeds Cup tour that took place in the first round of the playoffs. I know there was representatives from Canterra Seeds in a lot of the communities for those games. What was some of the feedback that you got from those nights?
Yeah, you know what? It's a great opportunity because our staff who participate in those initiatives, they also live and work in those local communities. And so often it's friends and maybe even family at times that come and get pictures taken with the cup. And I mean, you can see it sitting next to you there. It looks pretty darn good. There's a lot of young hockey players, male and female, youth in the communities that aspire to, hoist a championship cup at some point in time, and having the ability to take that cup around, and Jacob, the keeper of the cup, so his white gloves, hauling it around. I think it's pretty special for sure.
I got to see game one in Yorkton, and I also saw the game in Weyburn in the first round. And just to confirm, Jacob does take very good care of the trophy. So yes, it is in good hands. But speaking of the partnership with us, the SJHL and Canterra Seeds, it's not just in the playoffs, it's also throughout the entire season. Stuff like Farmers' Night Outs, for example, which happen several times throughout the year. Talk about the partnership that the SJHL and Canterra Seeds have together.
Yeah, so without question, there's a true win-win part in this partnership, and credit to Kyle and Jacob and yourself and the rest of the team there to really ensure that that there's a mutual win-win here. And so, when we are able to, utilize opportunities like the Farmers Night Out, it allows our staff to create more meaningful connection with the farming community, the agriculture community, and of course, provide meaningful support to the players and teams as the season goes along. So, it helps drive some energy within our team. It helps drive some energy within the local community. And, we're as much as anything in the relationship business. And so connecting our customers to the agricultural community and the hockey communities, matching them together is pretty awesome.
Another thing we do all year long, and shout out to my good buddy to my left over here. Don't put him on camera because he's prepping right now. But Jamie Neugebauer all season long does the Golden Sheaf program, where we write about this connection between Saskatchewan-born players and farming and agriculture. That's a great initiative, I think. What's it like from your perspective in terms of just celebrating the connection between those two things?
Yeah, well, I grew up on a farm, and I also had spent a lot of time, even with my own children, in sports environments. And I can tell you that there's a lot of skills that are learned on the farm when you grow up on the farm. It's that resiliency, that grit, that determination that you can also bring to the forefront, either through a professional work career or a sports journey. And so I think often what you'll see is, that adversity learned through the younger stages of life on a farm, you can bring that forward, and it really does pay dividends in the higher level hockey and work environments. So, without question, I think that's a great way to recognize some key players. So this is the second year of that initiative, and I think actually one of the Mustangs players happens to be one of the Golden Sheaf program participants here from this past season. So nice little shout out there for him too.
Absolutely. And I know having the name of the company on the trophy is one thing, but I know it's a lot deeper than that. There's a lot of pride in that. Can you talk about the pride in the cup that Canterra Seeds has?
Yeah, some of our founding fathers of the Canterra Seeds business are from Saskatchewan. And so, because of that, local community vision and view that we have for our business culture, it allows us to sort of bring that forward through this cup. So as it travels, as you mentioned earlier, as it travels through these local communities, during the playoff run, and now as it is going to be hoisted by the winners in the next couple of weeks, again, connecting local communities, connecting our founding fathers, and really honoring this wonderful sport and the connection that it has as well in the province with, including agriculture, it's a great way to give back.
Well, let's talk about, I guess, being in the building then for the playoffs the rest of the way here. I know that there's some really cool initiatives going to take place at Games 1 and Games 3 specifically. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, for sure. So each of the first home games in the finals here, the first 300 fans are going to get the opportunity to pick up a Canterra Seeds Cup cowbell. So it's going to get a little louder in those home barns, and I know those cowbells are going to show up for the rest of the series, however long that might go. So make sure you get there early for those home openers in the final round. And some of my local territory manager staff are going to be there to help support that initiative and make sure everybody feels welcome when they're walking through the door.
It wouldn't quite be a Prairie Junior hockey game without a few cowbells in the building, I'd say, Brent. So anyways, obviously,
I would agree.
Very, very exciting time here for the Canterra Seeds Cup. Very exciting partnership we have with you. Thank you so much for all of that. And enjoy the playoffs. I hope you get to maybe get to a game or two while it's going on, and appreciate everything you guys do for the SJHL.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity. I was in Melfort to actually hand out the cup to Melfort last year in Game 6. That's one of the highlights of my year, and just seeing the energy and the excitement on the faces of those young men was a true honor. So all the best to the two teams, and I know they will do their local communities proud.
Absolutely, they will. Thank you. That's Brent Derkatch of Canterra Seeds. Appreciate the time, Brent. And we have to wrap up the show now, but before we do that, we got a couple things left, so don't go anywhere. We'll start with News and Notes.
It's news and notes, news and notes.
There we go.
There you go. He was asking for his own hotel room in
Was
the
he? Really?
finals. And I said, I don't think we can, and I don't want him around. I'll be honest. He takes too much of the spot.
He's gotten worse and worse over the year.
He's got a big ego, huge ego.
Not even going to double up with him.
It's wild.
If he's nice to me the next couple of days, we'll think about it. All right. Nugs and notes. Congratulations, Rylan Silzer, the captain of the Larange Ice Wolves, is committed to the University of Regina. Big commitment for him. Good for him. Swift Current kid. For some reason, the commissioner calls him Fuzzy, which is an interesting nickname. But anyways, Brett Boucher, also of the Larange Ice Wolves, has committed to Albertus Magnus, NCAA Division III, Albertus Magnus in Connecticut. I know they watch the SJ closely, plenty of SJ content there. And Bray Legranger, who will get a little graphic beside his name in the line sheet there in the finals.
Yeah.
The Weyburn Red Wings committed to the University of Alberta at Augustana, which is in the ACAC. And also kind of an SJ connection, Aiden Knutson, former Yorkton Terrier, of course, played for the rest of the year since the deadline, maybe before the deadline in Olds in the AJ, committed to Trinity Western in U Sports. So congratulations to Mr. Knutson. The TELUS Cup will begin on April the 21st. Of course, lots of potential future SJHLers on the Regina Pack Canadians, led by Maddox Schultz, of course. They'll take on the hosts on April the 21st. The Fraser Valley Thunderbirds will be their opposition, just like the SJHL team at the Centennial Cup will open against the Calgary Canucks on May the 8th at the Centennial Cup. So there's a little bit of a connection there. And April the 20th, the ESSO Cup, which is the U18 girls equivalent, the Saskatoon Stars will open the tournament, be the first game of the tournament, and they'll take on the North York Storm in Ontario. The game, of course, that tournament is in Lloydminster, Alberta. So those are the TELUS and the ESSO Cup pictures. And then finally, we have a Centennial Cup sort of look at graphic here. If they could throw it up there. I don't know if you can see, a little bit small writing, but whatever. It's okay. You can go on Hockey Canada's website and find it. But a couple things to think about. Obviously, lots of about 4 SJHLers in the lineup on a regular basis for North Manitoba as they take on Dauphin. Think about Chichu Laughlin, of course, having a great year with Northern Manitoba, former Flin Flon Bomber, as well as Max Collier, Tyler Doms, and Jack Linton, former Weyburn Red Wings, also on North Manitoba. They're doing a wonderful job. Can we put it back up? I'm not done. Wait!
Hold on.
Hold your horses there, Bryce. I know you got a lunch reservation somewhere. Obviously, the other tournaments going on. The only finals that have already got underway, by the way, in Quebec right now, as the Valleyfield Braves have a 2-1 lead on Longueuil in the Quebec League, as you see on the far right there. I believe Sudbury is going to get started in the Noge coming up here as well tonight against Hearst. So should be very interesting. And the Milton Menace, boy, oh boy, their ownership has done a wonderful job turning an organization there in Milton around. And they'll be underdogs in the OJ against Trenton, but still should be a very interesting series there. So plenty of things to look forward to. And then you get a little bit of a picture of what the Centennial Cup might look like. Of course, Calgary and Grand Prairie already have their seats at the Centennial Cup.
And because Calgary is hosting and Grand Prairie is in the finals, so that means, and so is Calgary, so that means Grand Prairie gets an auto. It doesn't matter what happens in their finals; they're both going. So we know that much. And of that picture you just saw, the opponents will all be within that photo. So go check it out on Hockey Canada's website, as Nugsy mentioned, because it's all up there. And they'll keep you on track with what's going on in each of the leagues as they complete their own series. But let's wrap up our series here in the SJHL with a little game we like to call Sustained or Object. I think we have the stamp. There it is. Objection. Nugsy, I think you're the judge on this one.
Well, you can answer as well. You just get to read the questions.
You have the questions.
All right. I have 4 questions then. All right. The first topic is this series will go fewer than 6 games. So 5 games or less.
Would be a sustained. Or object would mean it'll go 6 or 7.
Right.
Okay. Well, do you want to start off or you want me to start it off?
Hit the bumper, Your Honor. I'm going to object on this one. I think it's going to be a 6-game series. I'm not going to say which way, but I feel it's not going to be finished in 5. Both teams will win at least 2 games.
Yeah, I'm also going to object as well. Thank you. I just feel like the speed of Weyburn that we've been talking about so much will allow them to find a way to get a couple of wins, I think. And so it's going to push it farther than maybe some fans might think, but I definitely think this is going to be a 6 or a 7-game series. I don't know if I've made up my mind yet on what it's going to be, though. So I'm still on the fence.
Nugs, I feel a sustain in this one.
It's a sustain.
Wow, there we go.
I'm not going to say anything
Sure
more.
about that?
All right. Angelo
Sure
Zoll,
about that?
the Weyburn Red Wings goaltender, will have a higher save percentage at the end of this finals than Christian Coombs.
I'm going to sustain. I'm going to take this one and go with sustain. And the reason I think that is because I think the shot suppression ability of the Melfort Mustangs will keep their shots lower. I think that Christian Coombs' save percentage will be lower because of it. If they score a goal or two, it will affect him more.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Melfort will be able to get a good amount of shots on Weyburn, leading to more opportunity for saves, leading to higher possible save percentage. So there's my quick math for you. But I'm going to sustain that. Angelo Zoll's save percentage will be higher.
I'm very okay with sustaining that as well for that exact same point, among others.
There you go.
I'm going to object.
Wow.
Because I think the ability of the Melfort Mustangs to score goals, again, you use this bulletin board material in Weyburn if you want. That is totally fine with me. Their ability will mean, I think, that Weyburn might have to outscore some of their problems at times.
Sure.
And that is not an easy task against the Melfort Mustangs.
Nope.
So I object. I'm getting myself in trouble, and that's great.
They do have the best goals against record so far in the playoffs, Melfort. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
That's right.
It's fact.
Yep, fact. All right. Melfort is I guess I don't know how you quantify this, but they're a big favorite. Is Melfort a big favorite?
Yeah, what's big?
Are you comfortable calling them a
I
big
object
favorite?
with the question.
The question is being objected.
I'm okay with you calling them a big favorite. Like they
So you
were
sustain.
I'll sustain. They were the best team in the regular season. They've never lost in regulation in the playoffs. They got 25% power play, a better penalty. Like everything leans their way. So they're not just a slight favorite. So I would say they're a bigger than not favorite. So I'm okay with the question. Sustained.
I'm going to also sustain it. And I think the one thing I keep
They're
coming
just
back
ganging
to.
up on me. Love it.
I keep coming back to this, and I've said it a few times on these shows throughout the playoffs, but definitely after the season finished, is I don't know if we have fully, as a community, not just us, but everybody, I don't think we've fully given Melfort enough credit for just how good they were this season, because they had more wins than Flin Flon last year in the regular season specifically. They're almost nearly as dominant in terms of wins and losses as Flin Flon was last year. And we gave Flin Flon a lot of credit last year. So all I'm saying is I don't know if we've necessarily all given Melfort as much credit as we should. So I'm going to say yes. I think they are a big favorite. I'm going to say it.
I'm going to object again. I'm just going against you guys. I think Weyburn's pretty good. I really
No, I'm not
respect
saying
them.
they're not good.
They're really good. They're Melfort is favorites, but I'll take off the big.
Well, you heard it here,
Take off the
folks.
big.
You heard it here first,
They're
folks.
not. They're not super big.
You can quote it. Nugsy says, "I think Weyburn's pretty good." There it is.
They're good team.
They're pretty good.
All right, last one then, and Rory got mad at me for this one earlier. Not what I came up with, but what I originally had, and you can ask me
There
about
you
that
go.
later.
You can get mad.
Whatever. Riley Kotai is the best player in the finals, the leading scorer, Melfort Mustangs, scoring champion in the SJHL. He is the best player in this finals.
I'm gonna. How do I want to word my answer to this? I'm going to sustain that I think, yes, he's the best player, but I'm going to object in saying that I don't think he will be the best player.
You just keep taking the words
Right
right out of my mouth.
Man.
I mean, it's hard to argue that he hasn't been the best player going into the finals.
Yeah.
So prior to game one, I'm going to sustain that. I'm going to sustain it. There's a lot of great players.
He wasn't the leading scorer, Ryder Ringer was, but he was, in terms
of these
of
two
just
teams,
the
he is.
best player,
Yep.
out of these two teams,
Right.
And he played fewer games.
I object because I think Zach Summers has had a lot to prove in these finals because he was hurt a lot last playoffs.
He's been fantastic.
And he has been absolutely unstoppable for Melfort. So I'm actually going to even just put a different guy's name. I'm going to say Zach Summers is the best player going into this final.
There you go. A couple of comments from our viewers before we take off here. Johnny Collins is saying congrats to both teams, both deserving to be in the finals. Hopefully the fans traveling to home arenas respect the rules and act respectful back and forth. There you go. That's a good message to put out there.
Yep.
Be respectful. Have some fun, though.
Yep.
It's going to be great. And the best part about this series is that I think we will see a heavy traveling contingent for both fan bases.
Can get there.
Because it's not too far away. It's not too crazy far. It's not Flin Flon, which is 12 hours one way for certain teams, and it's an easy travel, I think, for a lot of fans. So I think we should. Now this is Dusty saying, "How's your health?" That was, of course, him reacting to Cody's answer and then giving that to Trevor. How's your health? Sasha Saddlemeyer, who I'm assuming is related to Zane Saddlemeyer, says it will be a great series. I agree.
Well, one guy who could be a huge X factor in this series is Zayden Saddlemeyer.
Zayden, sorry, not Zane.
He scored the most goals out of anybody in the regular season series between Weyburn and Melfort. He had 4 goals in the 4 games.
And he has yet to score a goal in the playoffs.
0 goals, 8 assists.
There was a game there, too, where there was 7 power play goals in one game. It was a 5-2
Melfort was 5 for 8.
It was a 5-2 Melfort Mustangs win, and all 7 goals were on the power play.
Oh, you love that.
Crazy game.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Obviously, this is the biggest time of year for us. We work all season long, the 3 of us and everybody involved, to get to this point. So now we're here. These guys are going to be on the SaskTel broadcast, covering it all for you throughout the playoffs. So it's going to be a great time. These guys are going to have great broadcasts. I know them, and they're going to have a great time together. The chemistry of these guys on air is unbelievable. I don't know if you can tell.
Thank you.
But it's going to be a great time. So good luck with that, and everybody else involved in the SaskTel broadcast. Very excited to see those. And thanks to everybody in the back for everything as well throughout the season. Bryce, Ryan, I know Steven's been involved throughout the year. I know Jordan's been involved throughout the year. I know Kelly does a lot of work for us each and every week. I don't know if Kelly works hard. He's probably right beside you, isn't he? He's right behind me, isn't he?
He's already left for Disneyland.
Oh, he's gone. Yeah, that's the thing, is that he ditched everything. He's going to Disneyland. World, Florida. He's
the
going to
guy who
Florida.
left turning around too.
Hey now.
I love you, Clark.
Dazza Mitchell did great.
He did great.
That was why I did it, so that Dazza could have the spotlight, honestly.
Yeah. Can I just say quickly, my moment of bias, I'm so happy that Cypress Smith-Davis is going to get a chance to show what he could do in the finals. What a great playoff performer he's been. Talking about unsung boys. He's made a big difference. He's been physical. He's been infuriating to the other team.
He has.
And I'm so excited to watch Cypress play in the finals.
I'll go back to that game we saw against Battlefords in Weyburn, and he was so impactful in that game. Anyways, Kelly Lewick is chiming in. He's like, I'm still here, guys. He's still here. Hi, Kelly. But again, these guys are going to have you covered on SaskTel. If you can't catch those broadcasts and you can't get to the rinks, make sure you get your full hockey subscription. You can check it all out there. And we'll have you covered everywhere else as well, in terms of recaps, in terms of previews, all that stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube as well. We'll have the highlight packs for you. So it's going to be a great time in the playoffs. We're all very excited. Thank you one more time to all of our sponsors. Of course, that starts with Canterra Seeds, the cup sponsor itself. Here it is. This cup will be hoisted in less than 2 weeks. So we're very excited there. Well, a little bit more than 2 weeks, because it does potentially could go into May, but we'll get there when we get there. Borgo, of course, Capital Automo, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, of course, the sponsor of all of our broadcasts, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thanks to all of our sponsors. They're the best. Straight up. Next week, we'll be back, I think, to normal-ish broadcasting. We'll have SJHL Weekly on Monday and SJHL Insider on Thursday to keep you kind of up to date on what's going on within the final series. And we'll have some special guests along the way. So it's going to be a great time. But until then, there's 2 big games this weekend, and it's going to be a great, great time in Melfort. So enjoy the hockey, everyone. We'll see you next week.